The peace of the Galactic Council had lasted for 3,000 years. In the grand chamber above the planet Nexus Prime, representatives from 57 species gathered for their monthly meeting. The tall, blue-skinned Vorthan ambassador stood at the center podium, discussing trade routes with the insect-like Kree delegation. Everything was routine. Everything was calm. Then space itself seemed to screen dot above the planet. Reality tore open like paper. A massive ship emerged from nowhere, no jump gate, no warp signature, no warning. The vessel was unlike anything in the Galactic Database. Where alien ships were smooth and elegant, this one was angular and brutal. Its hull was dark gray metal, covered in weapon ports and armor plating. Strange symbols marked its side. UES Prometheus. Admiral Tor of the Vorthan. Fleet was the first to react. His four eyes widened as his scanners failed to make sense of what they detected. The ship was impossibly dense, built from materials that shouldn't exist. Its power readings were off the scale. Most disturbing of all, it had appeared inside the defense perimeter, something that should have been impossible. Unknown vessel, identify yourself. Admiral Tor transmitted on all frequencies. For 30 seconds, silence. The entire galactic fleet held its breath. 23 warships from different species surrounded the mysterious arrival, weapons charging, but not yet aimed. Everyone remembered the last time an unknown species had appeared. The Devourers had consumed 12 worlds before being stopped. Then came the response. Not in any known language, but somehow every translator understood it perfectly. This is Captain James Walker of the United Earthship Prometheus. We come in peace, but we are prepared for war. The transmission sent shockwaves through every ship, Earth, the quarantined world. The primitive planet that had been marked as off-limits just 50 years ago when they'd barely achieved nuclear fission. How could they be here? Ambassador Crix of the Zeliphi spoke first in the Emergency Council session. His tentacles writhed nervously. This is impossible. Earth humans were centuries away from faster-than-light travel. Our scientists confirmed this. Our scientists were wrong, stated Elder Yan of the ancient Bethari race. His crystalline form pulsed with concern. Look at their ship. Look at how they arrived. They didn't use any FTL method we know. Captain Walker's image appeared on every screen simultaneously, another impossibility, as each species used different communication protocols. He was smaller than most galactic species, with no natural armor, no claws, no obvious weapons. Just soft pink skin and strange fur on his head. He should have looked weak. He didn't. Members of the Galactic Council, Walker began, his voice calm but carrying an edge of steel. 50 years ago, your scout ship visited Earth. You cataloged us as a primitive species and placed a quarantine beacon in our system. That beacon contained your entire database of galactic knowledge. You probably meant it as a warning system. We saw it as a library. The council chamber erupted. The beacon was supposed to be encrypted with unbreakable codes. It would take 1,000 years of computing power to crack even a fraction of it. Walker continued, unfazed by the chaos. We learned about your physics, your mathematics, your history. We also learned about your wars, the Devourer invasion, the Machine uprising, the Dark Fleet. You faced these threats with courage, but also with fear. You've built your entire civilization around preventing the next catastrophe. Admiral Tor's tactical officer whispered urgently, Sir, I'm detecting something strange. The human ship ... It's not alone. I'm reading gravitational shadows. There are more ships, but they're somehow hidden in folded space. Walker smiled then, and somehow that expression was more terrifying than any threat. We've spent the last 50 years preparing, not to conquer, not to destroy, but to stand ready. Because we studied your history, and we know what's coming. The patterns are clear. Every 3,000 years, something emerges from the void between galaxies. Your peace is about to end. And when it does, Captain Walker's eyes hardened, you'll be glad humanity ignored your quarantine. Asterisk 3 hours had passed since the Prometheus arrived. The Galactic Council remained in emergency session, debating whether to treat the humans as invaders or guests. Admiral Tor had requested permission to fire warning shots. The Kree wanted to board the ship and arrest everyone. The peaceful Yanni suggested dialogue, and understanding Captain Walker had made no aggressive moves. The Prometheus hung in space like a sleeping giant, weapons powered down but shields at maximum. Every scan bounced off those shields like light off a mirror. The galaxy's best scientists couldn't understand the technology. Then Senior Counselor Dex of the Morati spoke. The Morati were the oldest spacefaring race, with records going back 10,000 years. They rarely involved themselves in council politics, preferring to observe and record. When Dex stood, everyone listened. Captain Walker, Dex's voice was like grinding stone. You claim to know what comes next. You speak of patterns in our history. Prove your words. Walker nodded. Fair enough. Counselor Dex, check your historical archives. Year 7834 of your calendar. The first void incursion. Started with subspace tremors in the outer rim. Then ships started disappearing. Within 6 months, an armada of unknown origin attacked. You barely survived. Dex's 6 eyes blinked in sequence, a sign of surprise. That information is classified at the highest level. Year 4291, Walker continued. The second incursion. Same pattern. Tremors, disappearances, then invasion. That time you were more prepared. It still cost you 40 worlds. How could you know this? Ambassador Crix demanded. Your beacon contained more than you realized. Quantum data shadows information leaked from your secure networks over centuries. We developed algorithms to reconstruct the hidden history. And we found the pattern. Every 3,543 years. Almost exactly. The last incursion was 3,541 years ago. The council chamber fell silent. If the human was right, they had perhaps 2 years before the next catastrophe. Elder Jan's crystalline form flickered. Even if this is true, what can one ship do? What can your primitive species offer? Walker touched something on his command chair. Lieutenant Johnson, please demonstrate Tactical System Alpha 7. In the space around the Prometheus, reality wavered. Suddenly, where there had been 1 ship, there were 12. Each one identical. Each one reading as completely real on every sensor. Then, just as quickly, 11 vanished, leaving only the original dimensional projection, Walker explained. We can make 1 ship appear as a fleet, or make a fleet appear as 1 ship. Admiral Tor's tactical officer spoke urgently again. Sir, I'm detecting those gravitational shadows again. They're stronger now. I count, that can't be right. I count at least 50 signatures. Walker's expression remained neutral. That's correct, Admiral. 52 ships, to be exact. We call them the Ghost Fleet. They're sitting in a dimensional pocket we created. Invisible, intangible, but ready to emerge in less than a second if needed. To demonstrate, a single human warship materialized beside the Prometheus. It was smaller, but just as angular, just as heavily armed. It appeared without any of the telltale signs of FTL travel. No jump flash, no hyperspace ripple. It was simply not there. Then there, the U.E.'s Pandora, Walker introduced. Captain Roberts commanding. The new captain appeared. On screen, a dark-skinned woman with short hair and scars across her jaw. She nodded curtly. Council members, we're here to help, whether you want it or not. Ambassador Crix's tentacles turned purple with anger. This is invasion. You hide fleets in our space. You violate our sovereignty. No, Walker's voice cut through the anger. This is preparation. Because in 18 months, the void tremors will begin. In 20 months, ships will start vanishing. And in 2 years, they will come. The ones your ancestors called the Hollow Fleet. The ones that consume civilizations and leave only empty worlds behind. Senior Counselor Dex accessed his private archives through his neural link. His eyes went wide as he found the data Walker referenced. The patterns were there, hidden in the chaos of history, but clear once you knew what to look for. By the ancient stones, Dex whispered. He's right. The pattern is real. Walker leaned forward. We've spent 50 years reverse engineering your technology and improving it. We've built weapons specifically designed to fight what's coming. We've trained our entire species for war. Not because we want to fight you, but because someone needs to be ready when the real enemy arrives. And if you're wrong? Admiral Tor asked. Captain Roberts answered this time, her smile sharp as a blade. Then you'll have learned that humanity doesn't need permission to protect the galaxy, even from itself. 2 weeks had passed since humanity's dramatic entrance. The Galactic Council remained divided. Half believed the humans were saviors. Half thought them invaders using fear as a weapon. The Ghost Fleet remained hidden but detectable, a constant reminder of humanity's unexpected power. Captain Walker had provided more evidence of the coming threat. Historical data, mathematical models, even intercepted signals from the void between galaxies. Some counselors were convinced. Others, like Ambassador Crix, remained skeptical. We need proof of your capabilities, Admiral Tor announced during another heated debate. You claim your ships can fight the Hollow Fleet, but all we've seen are tricks and shadows. Walker stood from his chair on the bridge of the Prometheus. What do you propose, Admiral? A war game. Your ship against our best. If you're truly here to protect us, prove you can. Within hours, the challenge was arranged. The Prometheus would face 3 of the galaxy's most advanced warships. Admiral Tor's flagship Supremacy, the Kree battlecruiser Stinger, and the Zelithy dreadnought Void Hammer. These ships had never lost a battle. Their captains were legends. The arena was an empty system at the edge of council space. Automated referees would judge hits and damage. Weapons would be at 5% power enough to register impacts, but not cause real harm. The entire council would watch as the ships took position. Captain Roberts spoke privately to Walker through a quantum link. You sure about this, James? We could just show them the full fleet. No, Walker replied. They need to see what one human ship can do. They need to understand we're not just advanced, we think differently. The signal came, 3 against 1. The odds were impossible. Admiral Tor struck first. The Supremacy fired a full spread of plasma torpedoes while the Stinger launched fighters, and the Void Hammer charged its main gun, a weapon that could crack moons. The Prometheus didn't dodge. Instead, it disappeared, not cloaked, not hidden on. The ship stepped outside normal space for exactly 1.3 seconds. The torpedoes passed through empty vacuum. The fighters found no target. The moon cracker beam hit nothing. The Prometheus reappeared behind the Stinger. Before anyone could react, human weapons fired. Not energy beams or plasma, something else. Metallic projectiles moving at 90% the speed of light. Kinetic weapons were considered primitive by galactic standards. No advanced race used them, but these weren't normal kinetics. Each round was wrapped in its own tiny warp field, allowing it to partially phase through shields. The referees registered 17 hits on the Stinger before its captain even knew he was under attack. By war game rules, The Kree ship was dead. Impossible. The Kree captain buzzed angrily. Kinetic weapons can't penetrate shields. Yours can't, Walker replied calmly. The Supremacy and Void Hammer coordinated their next attack. They formed an overlapping field of fire, making it impossible for the Prometheus to escape without taking hits. Admiral Tor was a tactical genius with 300 years of experience. He knew every trick, every maneuver. But humans didn't fight like other species. The Prometheus split. Not projections this time. The ship literally divided into 6 smaller vessels, each one fully functional, each one armed. The human ship had been modular all along, designed to separate and recombine as needed. 6 targets were too many. The Void Hammer managed to destroy 2 sections before human torpedoes found their mark. But these weren't plasma or antimatter. They were gravity. Weapons devices that created microscopic black holes that existed for nanoseconds, just long enough to tear through any defense. The Void Hammer registered as eliminated. Admiral Tor found himself alone against 4 remaining sections of the Prometheus. His pride demanded he continue fighting. His wisdom told him he'd already lost. The humans weren't just advanced. They approached warfare from an entirely different angle. "I yield," Tor announced, his 4 eyes showing respect for the first time. "The demonstration is sufficient." The Prometheus reformed into a single ship. Walker appeared on all screens. That was one ship, fighting at 5% capability, using only conventional weapons. "We have 52 ships here. And back at Earth... He paused. "We have 300 more in production." The council erupted again, but this time with different energy. Not fear or anger. Awe. Elder Jan spoke into the chaos. "Why show us this? Why reveal your strength? Because in 2 years, you'll need every one of our ships. And we'll need yours too. The Hollow Fleet won't come with 3 ships or 30. They'll come with thousands. And if we're not united, if we're not ready, this galaxy will become their feeding ground." 1 month after the War Games, everything had changed. The footage of a single human ship defeating 3 of the galaxy's best had spread to every inhabited world. Some species sent delegations to meet the humans. Others fortified their borders. But everyone was talking about Earth. Captain Walker had been invited to address the full Galactic Assembly, not just the Council, but representatives from all 312 member worlds. The great amphitheater on Nexus Prime could hold 1 million beings. Today, it was full. Walker stood at the central podium, looking impossibly small among the towering alien architecture. But his voice carried clearly, translated perfectly into every language. 3,000 years ago, your ancestors faced the Hollow Fleet and survived. They left records, warnings, preparations. But over time, comfort made you forget. Peace made you weak. You stopped looking to the void. You stopped preparing for war. He paused, letting the words sink in. Humanity never had that luxury. Our entire history is conflict. We fought over resources, ideology, territory. We almost destroyed ourselves 12 times. But each war taught us something. How to survive. How to adapt. How to turn weakness into strength. The image changed behind him, showing Earth, a small blue world that looked fragile compared to the massive gas giants and crystalline worlds of other species. When your scout found us, we were fighting our final war. Not against each other, but against our own nature. We had a choice: destroy ourselves or unite. Your quarantine beacon gave us a reason to choose unity. A galaxy full of wonders to explore, threats to face, allies to find. You gave us purpose. Ambassador Crick stood, his tentacles writhing. You speak of unity, but you arrived with hidden fleets and weapons we don't understand. How can we trust? You? Walker nodded. You can't. Not yet. Trust is earned. So let me earn it. He touched his command pad. In orbit above Nexus Prime, all 52 human ships emerged from their dimensional pockets. The sight was breathtaking and terrifying. Each ship was different. Some were massive carriers, others sleek destroyers. All bore the same angular, armored design philosophy. Every ship, every weapon, every technology, we're prepared to share it all. No conditions, no demands. We'll teach you to build dimensional pockets, to use kinetic warp weapons, to think about war the way we do. The assembly erupted. No species had ever offered to share all their technology freely. It went against every principle of galactic politics. Senior Counselor Dex stood slowly. What do you want in return? Unity, Walker said simply. Real unity, not just trade agreements and non-aggression pacts. We need to forge the 312 species of this galaxy into a single fighting force. We need to share everything: technology, strategies, resources. The Hollow Fleet won't distinguish between human or Vorthan or Kree. To them, we're all just prey. Captain Roberts appeared on a secondary screen. She was standing in what looked like a massive factory. Behind her, human and Kree workers were constructing something together. We've already started, Roberts announced. The Kree ambassador gave us permission to establish a joint manufacturing facility on their moon. We're building hybrid fighters, human. Shields with Kree agility. 12 are already complete. More screens activated. Each showed different human ships working with alien crews. A Zelathi scientist examining human dimensional technology. A Vorthan admiral training with human tactical. Instructors. Yanni peacekeepers learning human diplomatic protocols. This is happening without official approval, Admiral Tor observed. You're forcing our hand. No, Walker corrected. We're showing you what's possible. Every species brings something unique. Kree reflexes, Vorthan tactical genius. Zelathi, engineering. Bethari wisdom. Yanni empathy. And human stubbornness. He smiled at that last word. Alone, each of us might survive the Hollow Fleet. Together, we can defeat them. Permanently. We've studied the patterns. They're not just raiders there, running from something. Each incursion is larger, more desperate. Something in the void between galaxies is driving them here. This was new information. The assembly fell silent. We can end the cycle, Walker continued. Not just survive the next incursion, but ensure it's the last. But only if we stand together. Human and alien, strong and weak, warrior and peacekeeper. All of us or none of us. Elder Jan's crystalline form pulsed with thought. You're asking us to abandon 3,000 years of tradition. To trust a species we met a month ago. To reshape our entire civilization based on your warnings. Walker nodded. Yes, because in 23 months, the void tremors will begin. And when they do, we need to be ready. Not as humans or Vorthans or Kree, but as the United Galactic Fleet. The vote was called. It would change everything? Asterisk. 18 months had passed since humanity's arrival. The galaxy had transformed beyond recognition. The United Galactic Fleet now existed, not just in name, but in practice. Human dimensional technology had been combined with Zelathi engineering. Kree fighters used Vorthan tactical systems. Every species had contributed something. Captain Walker stood on the bridge of the newly commissioned UGF Fortress of Stars, a massive dreadnought built with technology from 17 different species. His crew was equally diverse. His tactical officer was a Vorthan named Commander Tex. His engineer was a Kree called Chief Buzz. His science officer was a crystalline Bethari named Dr. Rock. They were stationed at the galaxy's edge, where the void between galaxies began. 50,000 ships from every member species waited with them. It was the largest fleet ever assembled. "Captain," Dr. Rock announced, his crystalline form flickering with concern. "I'm detecting something. Subspace fluctuations at bearing 279. Walker's expression hardened. According to the timeline they'd calculated, they still had 5 months. "Show me." The main screen displayed a section of empty space. At first, nothing seemed wrong. Then, reality rippled. Space itself seemed to shudder, like water when something massive moves beneath the surface. "The first tremor," Commander Tex said, his 4 eyes focused on his tactical display. "It's starting early." Walker activated fleet-wide communications. "All ships, this is Fleet Admiral Walker. We have confirmation of void tremor activity. Move to defensive pattern Alpha. Prepare for early incursion." The massive fleet reorganized with surprising efficiency. 18 months of joint training had paid off. Human ships took point, their dimensional pockets ready to deploy reinforcements. Kree fighters swarmed in protective clouds. Vorthan command vessels coordinated movements. Zealothi dreadnoughts powered their main guns. Then Senior Counselor Dex, monitoring from Nexus Prime, sent an urgent message. "Admiral Walker, we're detecting tremors in 12 other locations. This isn't following the historical pattern." Walker felt his blood chill. The Hollow Fleet had never attacked from multiple vectors before. "Can you identify the locations?" "Sending. NOW Admiral. They're targeting populated systems. Core worlds. They know where our populations are concentrated." Captain Roberts' voice crackled over quantum comb. "James, the Ghost Fleet is ready. Say the word and we'll deploy to cover the core worlds." Walker had to make a choice. Keep the fleet concentrated at the edge, or spread out to protect populated systems. It was exactly the kind of decision that could determine the galaxy's fate. Negative. Walker decided. That's what they want to divide us. "All ships, prepare for dimensional jump. We're going to do something they won't expect." "What's that?" Admiral Tor asked from his flagship. "We're going into the void. We're taking the fight to them before they can fully emerge." The council erupted. In protests. No ship had ever entered the void between galaxies and returned. It was considered suicide, but Walker had spent 18 months preparing for this moment. "Every human ship has been equipped with Void Shields technology we developed specifically for this. We can survive out there for 72 hours. More than enough time to hit them before they're ready." Commander Tex looked uncertain. "Captain, the other species ships don't have Void Shields." "They don't need them," Walker replied. "Human ships will create dimensional bubbles around allied vessels. We'll carry them through." It was insane. It was impossible. It was exactly the kind of thinking that had brought humanity from nuclear weapons to dimensional technology in 50 years. "All ships reporting ready," Chief Buzz announced, his compound eyes glittering with excitement. "The crazy humans are going to drag us all into the void, and we're letting them." Walker smiled grimly. "Plot a course for the largest tremor source. Maximum dimensional velocity. On my mark." 50,000 ships aligned, with human vessels creating a protective network around their allies. The Prometheus led the formation, its dimensional engines howling with power. "Admiral," Dr. Rock said quietly, "if this fails, the galaxy will be defenseless." "If this fails, the galaxy was already doomed," Walker replied. "But humanity doesn't accept doom. We never have." He stood, looking at his mixed-species crew, at the fleet of united worlds behind them, at the trembling void ahead. "All ships," he commanded, "into the void." Space tore open not a small tear, like when the Prometheus first arrived, but a massive wound in reality. 50,000 ships poured through, carrying the hopes and fears of 312 species. They were entering the domain of humanity's worst nightmares and the galaxy's ancient enemy. But they were not running. They were hunting. The galaxy held its breath and waited. Asterisk.